Welcome to this video on solving two-variable equations. So in the last few videos we've looked at how we can solve equations. We first looked at by inspection, and then we looked at using opposite operations. And all the equations we've looked at so far are called one-variable equations because they only have one variable, one letter. And today all the equations we look at will have two variables in them, two letters. Now the rule is, if you have one equation, you can only have one variable, but it can happen multiple times. So here we have two variables, but they're both the same variable, both the same letter. We couldn't have a t over here and a q over here if we just had one equation. So all these will have two variables on them. So let's remember a goal of solving equations. We want to get the letter alone, because we want to know what's the value of t that makes this an equation, that makes this balanced. So in the end, we want to have something like t equals and a number. So how can we do that here when we have t's on both sides of the equation? Well, notice in our final answer we're going to have t on this side, and we're going to have some number on the right hand side of our equation. So our goal here is we want to have all the letters on one side and all the numbers on the other. So let's start by putting the t on that side. So we don't want this negative t on this side of the equation because we only want a number over here. So we know, remember our two key ideas, the first one is every operation has an opposite. So what's the opposite of subtracting t? Adding t. So if I add t, negative t plus t is nothing. Because remember, t is a number, so whether it's negative 5 or negative 6, the opposite is the positive of that same number. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have to add a plus t over there. So this minus t plus t cancels out. And the only thing that's left here now is 5, which is good. We just have a number on this side, which we knew we wanted to get to. T plus t. And let's remember, when we collect like terms, they have to be the same letter. They are. And we add the coefficients. So 1t plus 1t is 2t. So this becomes 2t plus 3 equals 5. Now this is a much nicer equation because now we only have one letter in it. Now it's like a one-variable equation that we've looked at solving. So we have the t over here. We don't want any numbers on this side of the t. So we move everything away, and remember we do BEDMAS in reverse, so SAMDEB. So the opposite of adding 3, subtracting 3. Cancel out, and we get 2t equals 2. So I'm multiplying t by 2. To undo that, we divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we're left with 1t, which is just t. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we get, like we said, t equals something, and in this case, t equals to 1. Now one of the nice things about equations is that we can always check to make sure that our answer is right. So we've said that for this equation, t plus 3 equals negative t plus 5, t has to be 1. So let's substitute 1 in for t and make sure that it is an equation. So 1 plus 3 equals negative 1 plus 5. This side of the equation, 1 plus 3 is 4. On this side, negative 1 plus 5 is 4. Does 4 equal 4? Yup, so we know that we were right and t is equal to 1. Well, again, this is a two-variable equation because we have an x and another x. There's two variables in it, although they're the same variable. Now, this one's a little different than the question we just looked at because we have this 3 times x minus 4 in brackets over here. If you ever have the x inside of a bracket multiplied, we can't move this. We can move this x over here, but this x is kind of trapped in this bracket, and we don't like that. So let's expand the brackets using our shower power or distributive property, and then we don't have to worry about that. So remember, we can shower, the 3 gets multiplied with both things inside the brackets. So this becomes 3x minus 12 equals x minus 2. Now it looks exactly like the last question we did. Let's move the x's to the same side first. So the opposite of plus x is subtracting an x. So I can subtract an x from both sides. 3x minus 1x becomes 2x. So on the left side of our equation we get 2x minus 12. And the reason we subtracted x is because x minus x is 0, it's gone, and we're just left with negative 2 over here. So we have our x over here, and we want to get rid of this number, both numbers with it, but we get rid of the minus 12 first. So the opposite of that is plus 12. Minus 12 plus 12 is 0, so left with 2x equals negative 2 plus 12 is 10. Okay? Now we're down to just a one-step equation. 2x equals 10, 2 times x divided by 2 is the opposite operation, which we do to both sides. So up with x equals to 5. Now let's check our answer. We always want to check to make sure that we are correct. So remember, we start by rewriting the equation. So 3 bracket x minus 4 equals x minus 2. So we're going to take this value for x and substitute it in everywhere we see an x in the equation. So 3 times 5 minus 4 equals 5 minus 2. Now we can just evaluate both sides. Our left side becomes 3. We do brackets first because of BEDMAS. 5 minus 4 is 1 equals 5 minus 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 2 is 3. Both sides are equal, so we know that x is indeed 5. Okay, hope you've had a chance to pause this video and try this question for yourself. Well, let's take it up to see how you did. So remember, we have a two-variable equation, variables on both sides. Our goal is we want to move all the letters to one side and all the numbers to one side of the equation. The first thing we need to do is get rid of this negative 2b on this side. So the opposite would be adding 2b to both sides of the equation. So 1b plus 2b becomes 3b. So our left side of the equation becomes 3b plus 4. While on the right side of our equation, those cancel out, we're left with negative 8. And once we've done that, now we only have one letter, and we can isolate for that variable by moving the numbers away from it. Remember, we do that using reverse BEDMAS because we're working backwards when we solve equations. So we get rid of addition before multiplication. So the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And we get 3b equals negative 12. The opposite of multiplying b by 3 is dividing by 3. And we get b equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. Negative divided by a positive, remember, is a negative. So b is negative 4. Right, you're on a test, you've got a little bit of extra time, and you want to check your answer to make sure that it's correct. So let's do that. So we've said that b is negative 4. So we can substitute negative 4 in anywhere we see b in our equation. So negative 4 plus 4 equals negative 2 times negative 4 minus 8. So on our left side of the equation becomes 0. The right side, let's fingers crossed that it becomes 0 as well. Negative 2 times negative 4, well, 2 times 4 is 8. Negative times a negative is positive. So we get 8 minus 8, which is 0. So we know that we're correct.